think I'm spooky?
Be afraid. Be very afraid. What have you done to its eyes?
Good evening and welcome to Soft and Spooky. For today's video, I thought I would switch it up a little bit because I finally this year made the pilgrimage to Point Pleasant, West Virginia for the annual Mothman Festival. I thought this would be a great opportunity for me to give you the scoop on the lore around the Mothman, as well as share my trip with you all. So without further ado, let's sink our teeth in. Also, totally unrelated that I have the little elf ears in, but they have just been calling to me like the Green Goblin's mask. Like I wanted to be a fairy today. So the Mothman Festival centers around the titular cryptid. Ooh, kind of like the way that sounds. Titular cryptid. Titular cryptid, titular cryptid, titular cryptid. The festival is held every year in the land of pepperoni rolls, West Virginia, in a small town called Point Pleasant. I myself am a huge fan of cryptids. I just think they're so interesting. So if you're new to learning about cryptids, you are in for such a treat. Cryptids are defined as creatures whose existence is reported, but it's not scientifically proven. So think of like Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, Yeti, and the Mothman. To understand the Mothman's notoriety, we have to go all the way back to November 12th, 1966, where the first sighting of the Mothman was reported. The sighting took place in Clendenin, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it, Clendenin, West Virginia, where there were 5 men digging a grave. Very on brand. Kind of sets the vibe here. But 5 men were digging a grave, and all of them reported seeing a man-like creature taking flight from a nearby tree. Only 3 days later, a more notable case of the sighting was reported. This sighting takes place among 2 couples that were out for a night drive. The first couple was Roger Scarberry and his wife Linda, as well as Steve Mallet and his wife Mary. They all described the same thing. So it was a 7-foot humanoid creature that was standing on 2 legs, and it had a wingspan of 10 feet. And it also, under the headlights of their car, had red glowing eyes. What's crazy about their account of the encounter is that basically they stated that it began to run clumsily alongside of the car when they were driving. And I just kind of like imagine a Bambi-like situation, and I find it kind of cute. But then they say that as soon as they started to pick up speed, it took flight and was easily keeping up with them at like 60 miles per hour. So kind of gets a little less cute then. This harrowing experience for the couple, which like, they were fine. The Mothman just wanted a street race a little bit.
Smoke 'em.
This actually made it into the newspaper, and the Athens, Ohio Register actually ran an article titled, "Winged Red-Eyed Thing Chases Point Pleasant Couples Across Countryside." I think what adds credence to the validity of these sightings is the fact that it wasn't just one singular dude sitting out on his porch, like tripping balls. There were couples as well as a group of 5 men that saw the same thing and all recounted similar descriptions. There are some theories on how the Mothman came to be. The Mothman was first seen around Route 62, which the locals actually know near that area is where armaments were produced in munitions factories in the Second World War. There are roughly around 100 igloo-shaped concrete structures that were used to store these explosives, aptly naming the area the TNT bunkers. By the time of the Mothman sightings, this had already been long closed and abandoned since they shut down these factories in 1945. Attaching this to the Mothman, there are these ideas that the chemicals from these explosives that were abandoned were leaching out into the environment and maybe mutated some winged thing. Already, this kind of sounds like a story that Stan Lee would have cooked up, and I'm super into it. At the very least, many speculate that this might just be the home of the Mothman. Maybe not his origin story, but it's where he lives. When asked his opinion, the wildlife biologist Dr. Robert Smith, sadly not the Robert Smith from The Cure, what could have been? He posited that the couples may have encountered a sandhill crane, even though the couples disagreed. Yeah, I looked up the size of the greater sandhill crane, which is a little bit bigger. They can get up to 5 feet tall with a wingspan of up to 5'5" to 7'7". What's also interesting is that the coloring on the sandhill crane's head is mostly white, but then around the eyes is red. And then the rest of their body is like kind of gray, brown, white, a little bit of mixture. But it does kind of make you think, okay, maybe quick glance in the dark as they're driving along, maybe they thought that the red coloring around the eyes was these red glowing eyes of a Mothman. Additionally, you have to hear the sound of a sandhill crane's call. Not gonna lie, if I heard this sound and I'm out in the wilderness in West Virginia, let's just say these pants, they would be brown because I shit myself. The most debated piece of Mothman lore is whether they were friend or foe. In West Virginia, tragedy struck on December 15th of 1967 when the Silver Bridge collapsed. Many people that believe the Mothman to be a negative presence connected the fact that there were Mothman sightings on that same bridge the day prior to the failure. At that time, this was the worst disaster that happened in local history because 46 people lost their lives. The Silver Bridge was the connecting point between Point Pleasant, West Virginia, and Gallipolis, Ohio. I'm very sorry if I mispronounced that. From what I could understand, basically the bridge was constructed with steel eye bars and it connected from above, kind of like a bicycle chain. The fatal flaw, according to the West Virginia Department of Transportation, with this specific construction, they only had one chain supporting on either side of the bridge decking to support it. The fatal flaw, according to West Virginia's Department of Transportation, with this specific construction, the bridge only had one chain on either side to support the bridge decking, and this is super uncommon. This doesn't happen because basically that leaves you super vulnerable if a chain were to fail, and that is exactly what happened on that date. There was a stress crack in a single link in the chain that connected to the bridge, and that is what caused it to fall. I think that that is genuinely so terrifying to think about because a singular link can lead to the demise of so many people, and the fact that it was December and it's just cold water, like this truly is a horrible tragedy that happened in this area. At the very least, this tragedy did lead to closer inspections of bridges as well as kind of serving as a cautionary tale for bridge inspectors. Additionally, it led to the Federal Aid Highway Act of 1968, which established the National Bridge Inspection Program, which basically is the standards that all bridges are held to today. One thing that kind of surprised me is that the Mothman didn't just stay in one location. You might say he's got a little bit of wanderlust. The Mothman returned in the summer of 2017 in Chicago, Illinois. I think this one just really surprised me because, I don't know, with cryptids, I kind of assumed that they would stay in these more rural areas, but nah, he's in Chicago. Our first witness was John Amatrano, and he was working at a bar in Logan Square called The Owl. As he was working his night shift, he stepped outside of the bar and he noticed something in the sky. He stated it didn't look like a bat so much as what illustrations of pterodactyls look like. This thing didn't have any feathers or fur, and it didn't fly like anything I've ever seen. During the months that followed, 54 people have seen this thing. Like, that is crazy to me. Especially, too, because there were even sightings at the O'Hare Airport, which that airport is huge. And it is so bustling and busy all the time that I'm just like, it makes me kind of believe it more because, like, how is it a trick of the eye when so many people are seeing this thing? And over the years, they are still describing him the same way. Thankfully, there were no tragedies or negative incidents that happened that were associated with these 2017 sightings. So I am thankful, and it kind of makes me feel like I think he's a chill guy. Like, he's just hanging out. So when I was staying there, I actually was staying in Morgantown because I waited way too long to try and book something to stay in Point Pleasant. And people downtown in Morgantown were so sweet. I met this really nice couple. They had what was going on, a punk rock art, or punk flea? Punk rock flea market. That's what it is. But yeah, I got to meet Brian and Jillian, and basically it's like this nonprofit that they've been working on for, I think they said 10 years. And it's really cool. They kind of have volunteers coming in and doing different things, and they even have metal shows there. So it just seemed like a really cool space. So when I went there, it was the punk rock flea market, but I think the venue itself is called the Morgantown Art Party. So definitely check it out. And if you do, tell them Soft and Spooky sent you. As for the festival, Point Pleasant is just like such a sweet, quaint little town. They really just lean into the theming around Mothman. Like, they have a statue in the middle of their town. They also had like bags of chips at the Piggly Wiggly. And I don't know, they really seem to have adopted this, and I think it's really fun. I will admit, it was very warm. There were a lot of people, and it's such a double-edged sword because I really enjoyed seeing so many people dressed up and, just excited to be there, but also I am not good with crowds. I think if I were to do it again, I would probably go during the off season. You wouldn't get to see all of these like really cool vendors, which is sad because they had some pretty good stuff. But I just know me that like when I get too warm and overstimulated or overwhelmed by crowds, I just get evil. Sadly, I did not get to go into the Mothman Museum. I really, really wanted to. But the line was like 2 blocks long. I did get to see Mothman's luscious booty on that statue though, and that was something that I was just so excited for. For some reason, like, they have this statue caked up, and it's so funny to me. That thing is juicy. But as I said before, I definitely think that the energy of everyone at the festival was so contagious. Like, you just saw so many people having fun. I think my favorite was the fact that some people like dressed as Mothman, but then some people had like lampshades on their heads. I thought that was so freaking funny. Like, so good. Moths love lamps, so. Also, something that I hope they never change is the fact that the festival itself is free. There's no entry you have to pay, and it's incredibly family friendly if you do have small children. Like, I think that it just makes it very accessible for all types of people, and I think that is something I really appreciate about it. Lastly, something I have to mention that's not necessarily related to Mothman, but when I travel, food is a very large part of it for me, and I'm not even going to understate this. I had the best pizza I've ever had in my life in Morgantown, West Virginia. I had heard great reviews both online as well as in person from Brian and Jillian at Morgantown Art Party, and it's Lefty's place, man. Wow. It was like a religious experience. It also helped that I think it was like my first sip of alcohol in about 4 months, and I was feeling good. So what I did, if you want to order the same as me, I ordered the Detroit style pizza, and I got it with pepperoni and ricotta. They give you like a free kind of garlic oil with basil on top. It had that perfect crispy edge. It was kind of like fluffy and chewy on the inside. And then it had plenty of sauce. I'm a saucy girl. Like, I can't do those super cheesy, light on the sauce pizza. Not for me. I want it mostly sauce. Also, super vibey in there. They actually have like a little neon sign, and it felt cozy. It was a really great environment, and I loved it. So yeah, that was my experience traveling to Mothman Festival, as well as giving a deep dive on the lore, and it was just a really great experience. If you like this type of video, given a little bit of history and travel, definitely give this video a thumbs up so I know that maybe I should make some more. Also, if you have any recommendations of cool places you'd like me to check out, definitely let me know in the comments. Maybe this could become a series. And yeah, I hope you also consider subscribing if you haven't already. I'm just a small little baby channel trying to make spooky content that you all want to see, so I hope you stick around. And with that, I will see you all in the next video. Don't forget to stay soft and spooky. Bye!